Good morning. So I thought I would take you through my cross stitch process and how I do things with my cross stitch. I do it a little differently than most. So what I'm going to attempt to do, like I said, this is an attempt, is we're going to make this cute little design right here. It looks like a house with gingerbread, like a part of a gingerbread house with the candy canes and stuff. So I think it's pretty cute, and it looks like it's a pretty simple design. So we're going to make this. It's only approximately 20 by 20 squares, and I have it on 11 count, so it's kind of big. And I'm going to show you how I find my middle. So I take it and I have it extra big because if I put my hoop on here, you can see how it's extra large, but the design is going to fit right in the center of this. Okay, so I'm going to fold it in half, and it doesn't matter which half, hot dog, hamburger, whatever you like, just in half, and then press it down with your fingers. You don't need to iron it. And then you're going to fold it up again into fourths, and you're going to crease it. It should crease real well, and like I said, I just push on it. And then if I open this up, I have a center piece. Now, here's where I do a little cheating. I take a disappearing pen and I mark the center. And it looks like it's going to be this one right here. So I'll just kind of color it in purple. So when I start in the middle, I'm going to start right there. And this is just a disappearing ink pen. It's fine point. And that's where I'll take my first stitch. Then I also mark the top because this is a directional design. So here's my center. I'll start right here with this color. This is my middle going this way. This is my middle going this way. And I'm going to start right here with this color, and I'm going to get it all ready. But I need to know that when I put it down, it's going to be a little hard to tell where the top and the bottom are. So at the very, very top of my cross stitch piece, I take a pink marker and all I do is kind of run it across the very top. Because chances are this is going to be something that's going to get cut off. I don't have to put a big dot on it or anything. I can put something just so that I know when I see the pink, that's the top. So my design will work this way, and I'll work out from the middle. Okay, so I'm going to go get the needle and stuff ready and show you how I start mine. Okay, so I dragged out my magnifying glass so that I can see things a little bit better, because this picture is super tiny, and if I put it under my magnifying glass, I can see it so much better. And I also have a better light. So I'm going to start right here in the middle, and there's, I don't know if you can see it, there's 4, well, I call them upside down W's, and that number is 3705. So I've got my embroidery floss ready to go. I have my needle. I use a 28. It's a very thin-eyed needle. I don't know if you can see it right there. It's super thin. That way it goes through when I use a 14, 8 count or whatever. So this one is easy to see because it's a 11 count. So I'm going to put the first stitch in. I work from the back, and remember I'm left-handed, so I do things a little differently, and I pull it through, and I'm not part of this loop thing or whatever they do. I come to the back and I look to see what I've got here. Here's my threads, and I just kind of hold them in place with my finger. And then I come down here and I'll make my X, and I'll come up. I do it in one motion. I don't put it in the hoop ahead of time. I do things without the hoop because I like to do the stitches together, if that makes sense. So like I go down into this hole here, and then I come up here, and I do it all with my finger in the back, manipulating the fabric a little bit. And then I come up here, and I have, oops, sometimes it's a little hard to get it going. And this time I'm going to pull it all the way through the back because I want to make sure that back here I'm catching this thread to secure it down. And now I'm going to come up at the bottom right here in that same hole, which is a little difficult to see and keep it on camera at the same time. But there we go. It's right there. And I pull on the back to make sure that I'm catching it underneath. And then I push this fabric down. And there's my first 2 stitches. And now there's 4 of them, so I'm going to come down and I'm going to come on this side. And I'm going to work this way. I'm going to come up and push it through the bottom. And I'm going to go down here and come back up and do it again. And there are my first 4 stitches. And they're secure. Now, what I'm going to do, though, is twofold. I'm going to take a yellow highlighter and I'm going to highlight the centerpiece that I just did. It's going to be a little difficult to see, but I don't know if you can really see that I highlighted it. It was pink and now right here it's yellow. And I'm going to count, because it's counted cross stitch, and I'm going to come out here and I'm going to count 2, and then I'm going to put a stitch here, and I'm going to put a stitch up here, and then I'm going to put a stitch here, and then I'm going to work over here and I'm going to work on the door. Now there's other W's around, but I don't have enough places yet for them to be. So I'm going to work on that. I'm going to continue in the same manner as I finish a section or a color for this particular area. I'm going to mark it off with a highlighter, and then I'm going to also pick up the next color. I don't leave threads hanging. I've seen a lot of people that park their thread, but I think that's not very efficient. I don't remember what these colors are, and I waste more time going back and trying to find the key and looking for this stuff. It's just not worth it. So instead of parking, I do as much as I can in that area where the symbol is the same, and then I get rid of the yarn. So I'm just going to pause. I'm going to go back and I'm going to do some of these other stitches to show you how I end a section. Okay, so I kind of did a little more. This is part of the candy cane going to this side. Excuse me. And I've already yellowed out the pieces. You can kind of see the yellow. It's supposed to be pink. It's yellow. So there's that. Another thing you can do is just make a copy of this in black and white and then see it. But I like to work from the color because the color gives me an idea of what my colors should look like here. So this is my piece. It's all counted out. And when I come to the back, I have this. Okay, there's as neat as you can make it. That's as neat as it's going to be. It doesn't always look super neat in the back. Here is where some of my threads got covered down, or pasted down a little bit because I did jump a little bit. And now I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to push it up through this and pull it through, and then I'm going to go ahead and clip it. Now, that's all I'm going to do for this side. It would have been too big of a jump to do this over here. That would, because I ended down here is where I ended up. So I'm just going to restart over here, and I'll do some of the candy cane here because it happens to be this same color. And that's how I'll continue on around. And it might not look the same as this side. I'll just get as far as I can get with this particular thread, and then just put it off to the side until I need it again, because it does pop up other times throughout the piece. So that's how I do mine. It's very different. It's very non-traditional compared to what's being put out now. This is actually the original way it was done, and the back was supposed to look as neat as the front in relative description of what the picture is supposed to be. So that's how I have it. I'm going to continue working, and then I'll get a needle minder and I'll put my needle on it. So the next time I pick it up, I might have more pieces on here and just show you a little bit more of what it's done. This is the beginning, and it's usually kind of the fun part because it really doesn't look like anything. I mean, to think that this is going to eventually look like this picture down here is kind of funny. But I'll kind of add more to it as I go through and work on this and show you my progress step by step. And hopefully you'll join me in the cross-stitch journey. I do things, like I said, very old-fashioned. I learned a very long time ago. I was probably 7 when I learned, so it was late 60s, and this is the rest of it I was self-taught because being left-handed, there wasn't anybody to show me the correct way to hold a needle or to put it in the back. And I always found the hoops made this too tight, and I like to manipulate it. And I guess I'm used to sewing by hand, because when you sew by hand, you manipulate the needle and the fabric together. I hand quilt the same way, and later on in the winter I'll bring out my granddaughter's quilt and I'll show you how I hand quilt. And I use the same kind of methodology for this as I do with any other hand piecing. So I don't use a hoop at all, not even to quilt. So I don't like the restriction of it, but that's just me. Hope you all have a great day.